Like most of you, I watch quite a few manga hauls, and most of the time I don't see this series spoken about. I always see people talking about the light novels and their admiration for it, and occasionally the TV series as well, but I never see anybody actually speaking about the manga. I picked up the first volumes of the manga thinking, oh yeah, you know what, I'll probably enjoy this, I'll check out the first 12 volumes and then go from there. Generally speaking, I don't do this for series. I tend to get them one at a time, but this is something that I just thought would be for me. And as soon as I read the first 12 volumes, I was like, yes, I need to buy the rest. So I bought the other 10 and I just binged them. And you know what? I have absolutely loved this series. It's been amazing. We follow Ainz, who is a gamer who gets trapped in the world he's playing in. But unlike most of them, he doesn't actually die. He is literally sitting in his throne, waiting for the log out because the game is going to shut down. And yeah, he gets trapped inside the game and he's like, oh, I'm stuck in here and nobody's real and I'm kind of screwed. His character being an evil overlord is a bit different. He doesn't quite know what to do and he's like sitting there on his throne thinking, right, I'm going to boss you about and I have no idea what I'm doing. The first 4 volumes are essentially the introduction arc. He decides to dress up as a knight, go fight some people, and he finds this creature in the woods which is like this terrifying like monster. It's supposed to be this all-knowing beast, right? It's a giant hamster. It's a giant hamster. And I love it. It's insane, and it's just one of those things that when you are actually sitting down and reading it, it's just like a breath of fresh air. The arcs kind of they have a little bit of weirdness to them as well. The follow-up one is about some angelic being, and there's a lot of like diplomacy in it, and they're talking about like laws and stuff like that. And I'm not quite too sure what's going on, and then like it cuts. Then the arc following that is the Lizard Man arc, which doesn't actually have much of Ainz in it, which is a bit of a surprise to me because I thought that the whole thing was going to be solely focused on him. It's about this lizard man who is essentially trying to get the tribes together because the Overlord team are trying to wipe them off the face of the planet. And he's going around different tribes. He finds like this albino one that he kind of falls in love with. And it's actually quite an engaging story. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I am glad that I read it because if I'd stopped reading it at that point, I wouldn't have got the series, because the series isn't always about Ainz, it's about the actual world itself. There is a ton of world building, which I'm sure is probably going to pay off sooner or later, but even with like the next arc, it didn't really focus on Ainz either. It was more about Sabas, which is like his butler. He just goes into like this kingdom and starts being a total badass out of nowhere. And then he meets this guy who's like a pipsqueak, and he's like, "Oh yeah, please train me." He just does it, and it's like, it's so weird, but it's so enjoyable. I will say the last arc with Sabas probably wasn't the best because there's a lot of royalty in it, and like it kind of gets a bit convoluted, and they don't quite necessarily know what they're doing with the finale of it, so they kind of throw loads of things in there. But aside from that, if you want something that's a bit different, a bit more refreshing, I would seriously highly recommend the Overlord manga. It's great. I loved it.